City of Stevens Point Board of Water and Sewerage Commissioners meeting, recorded October 14, 2025.
Everybody,
So Jamie will record
Yep.
that Paul and Carl are both excused.
okay. Let's review and do approval of the minutes from our last meeting, which was September 8th.
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Approval of department claims. And we will start with the water department. Any questions?
No.
Concerns?
No.
No, okay. We will go on to the sewage department claims. Questions? No.
Just had one question.
Okay.
On number 60468, just my ignorance again, it says testing backflow preventers. Do we have backflow preventers on sewage?
So they're around the utilities. We do have several testable backflow preventers. I think memory serves, there's probably with the utilities about 6 or 7 of them that we have scheduled every year. Definitely at least one at wastewater treatment plant, because the 2 places that are required to be contained by them, 2 most common are wastewater treatment plants and marinas. So there's one over there just for that, but we also have one in biosolids. We have one on our sprinkler system here.
And they're for the
They're for the drinking water side
water.
to prevent backflow, back pressure, back siphonage. Yep,
I was misreading it. I thought it was for backflow.
I got you. Yeah. It's under their claims because that one's at the plant. Yeah. Hi.
So we were looking at the sewage claims. Do you have any questions, Carl?
We excused your absence, so.
Oh, well, oh, I wanted to.
Can we excuse his presence?
Be quiet.
Okay, no questions
No
on sewage? All right, we will go on to the stormwater department. Any questions on claims? That's our last meeting. Okay, and then we will go on to the fiber. Anything, had a whole lot there. We had one check. Okay, hearing no questions, we have an approval of all 4 sets of claims.
Second.
And second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carried. We will go on to the 1909 Cypress Street.
Yeah, so actually, I'm just gonna go back up here, because you'll see in the fiber payment of claims, part of our closing, when we got approval to buy that property, 10% of the purchase of that property is gonna be allocated to fiber, 30 to water sewer storm. If we go down here and you read in the memo, as we're looking at the potential to actually lease that out, the auditors actually suggested that until we use it for a utility-wide purpose, if we're gonna have revenues and expenditures in that because it's a rented property, it'd be better to keep it in one enterprise. And so what we would do is journal entry back the money paid for by sewer, storm, and fiber to water, or to general utilities, and allocate for the whole purchase out of water, so that as we collect rent and as we experience expenses, if we go through with the rental, that it's in one enterprise, that we don't need to split it 4 ways every time. And then down the road, if we end up needing to demolish it for the purposes that we have later on with a conflict with another building we need to construct or whatever, then the other enterprises buy into it.
Okay.
Which makes a lot of sense. For one, we're not doing journal entries every single time there's an expense or revenue. 2, it just keeps it as an asset to one enterprise and not split among all 4. So
Was there a particular reason for choosing the fiber?
Oh, so I was just showing you how it was already allocated through claims, so we'd unallocate that essentially, we'd journal entry it back. So we picked water to be the one that housed it, which just, this was traditionally water. The garage is split,
Okay,
that being vacant property just kind of makes sense, I suppose.
all right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So do you need a,
The other part of this memo is seeing, I do think that, a small budget to do some work on that house before we rent it is appropriate. So I'd be looking for a motion to basically do both of those things, allocate it to water specifically until some point in the future, and then to allocate a budget of $20,000. And that should put us, neutral on expenses for the 20,000 relatively quick. The one property management company I talked to said they'd probably lease it out for $1,500 to $1,600 per month, so.
And for how long are you thinking of renting it now?
Now that we control the properties, it's less of a conflict than when we didn't. So I think we could actually build the next structure we need to and keep it there, so it could be years and years.
Mm.
And I did hear that you're reaching out to, property management companies.
Yep. Yeah, we don't want to be in the landlording business.
You don't.
Right, yeah, and the city already uses one, that's who we talk to, and it seems very straightforward, but, the floors over there, except for one room, are plywood. Like, I think there was a planned project to do some carpeting and other flooring that just didn't happen. And so, it's, depending on how you look at it, it's kind of staged for flooring. So we can get that done pretty quick, and then the bathroom needs some attention. Other than that, I think it's pretty well ready to go. Looks like newer mechanicals, like furnace and stuff like that, look really good. So the windows aren't old, roof is new, siding's new, so I think it'll work out.
and you'll work with a contractor?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I mentioned in there with a little bit of in-house stuff, depending on how we may like demo the bathroom for somebody to come in or something like that, but the rest of it's really flooring. I mean, I think that could involve either working with the property management company because they've got somebody on hand to do this kind of stuff, or on the flooring, going to Lowe's saying, come measure it, put it in. I mean, probably the most efficient. We'll look at all the options and just go with whatever makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would move to support the request and, also to make the needed improvements.
Have a second? Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Great, thank you. Water supply and distribution report.
Yeah, Eric's not in today, but the reports are in the packet. Happy to field any questions you have. Just looking trending here, looks like we're fairly flat.
Well, one thing that jumped out to me is the difference in 1 year in terms of the power bill. Is there, did we get a double billing in
No.
last year or?
No, actually, we were talking about that end of last week, and that everything, the way it shows up is accurate, but we don't have an explanation yet as to why the bill was a little weird. So I'm guessing that in the next month or so, we're going to see a correction. But if we don't, we'll take it. I mean,
I thought maybe the solar panels were really working in October.
no. Where was the big discrepancy?
September.
Wellfield, or was it 11? I don't remember. Yeah, I'm guessing. Yeah, I'm guessing it's.
Or sometimes they just skip months, and they just don't get reads on those, and then they double it up the next time. It's weird.
Yeah.
And we have it a lot. Sometimes they don't even give us half of our bills. They're just like, we didn't get it, sorry.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's a billing blip, and we'll see it corrected in future months. So yeah.
Typically, you'll see like a double for the next one, but.
Okay, anything else on?
Nope, everything's,
Okay.
yeah, unless you guys have questions.
Okay, the wellhead protection ordinance proposed updates.
Yeah, so this went to Plan Commission, was it just last Monday? Gosh, it feels like a month ago. Same memo, same request, they approved it. I'll just cut to the highlights here. Back up a little here. So in our current wellhead protection overlay zoning ordinance, this red right here that is shaded red is zone A. And because well 12, which is this blue dot here, is going in, zone A needs to be modified to cover the zone of influence, which takes it out to this red hatched area. Zone of influence, unlike the Kohnen depression or 1 year time of travel that we used to do things in years ago, has to do with which parts closest to the well you could see a contaminant in your well when pumping that well steady for 30 days, I believe it is, in a row. So this definition of what zone A is and what zone of influence is and everything else has changed over the years a little bit, but this hatched area being added to the red is what we would propose for zone A right here. And then similarly, to change zone B, it would be adding this yellow hatched to the yellow to add it to zone B, and I can show you why in a second. And then adding this area out here to zone C. If I go to the next page, it makes a little more sense. You can see this zone of influence has a radius of 1,747 feet because of that specific capacity of that well, which is a little over 1,100 gallons a minute, I believe it was, at 30 days straight. This is the zone of influence. So anything that touches that, any property that touches that gets included, which is why it's not a round circle and it's jagged lines. These black lines represent the direction of groundwater flow out there, which is why you can see how it touches this one and it touches this one, but it doesn't touch this one, which is why we included that along with this up here. That's why those look a little weird, because any property it touches is what we propose to include out to this 10-year time of travel ring. And then this is actually the groundwater divide out on what I think people call, kind of locally call Custer Ridge. And you can see it touches this one and this one and this one, which if we go up, that's how those get brought in. So those were discussed and approved at Plan Commission from their perspective, but this is very much a water utility thing as well. So I was hoping to get concurrent approval here. The only other thing that was discussed was this. And there is some down the road potential to release some of this property or some of this area from our zone A, because well 5 has been abandoned and well 4 has been abandoned. So our zone A only has to be, by regulation, really, the way we look at it, the zone of influence around well 12, because these two are out of service. However, being that this isn't that much area and there's a gas station in this area, and it doesn't change the way we're really going to look at golf course stuff, and there's not a pending development right here. We just thought the safer thing to do right now is to keep zone A, and then as we put this well online and everything happens with future projects, and we for sure exclude this area from a future well site, because you never know. I mean, they were previously wells. I doubt we'd site a well there in the future. I think we'd do it out here somewhere between 11 and Wellfield Road, if not on Wellfield Road. But I think the safer thing to do is to hang on to it for now and address that, because it doesn't need to be years down the road. It could be relatively soon when we look at language change or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, as presented, is how it went through Plan Commission.
So we haven't looked at, we haven't done any language changes?
No language change. So for us to put well 12 online, we need to have well 12 incorporated into our wellhead protection ordinance.
Right.
And so we're sticking with current language, adding the relevant zone changes, just to say add this to A, B, and C. And then I am sure down the road, I know the county's working on some stuff too, we will consider some language change that applies to the whole thing. But right now, this is just geometric changes, yeah.
Where did we have the modeling done for the well protection?
Oh, boy.
Was that part of the new well?
Our engineers for the new well, used the same modeling approach that we did last time for well 11.
Okay.
And so it's a combination of our current engineer, which is Strand, our previous engineer, which was SEH, but I actually think that we subbed out some of that modeling to the consulting firm that John Jansen worked for. I can't remember which, Collier, maybe. So it's been a number of things, but stuff like this here, I think they always pull from, you know, these kind of things get updated through, oh geez, who is it? Is it USGS or is it
USGS.
direction groundwater flow? So these are readily available, those arrows. But we use the same approach as what was used for well 11 when this one went online.
Okay.
And as you can see here, this alone, this zone of influence is bigger, right? Because this is a collector well than it would be just for this. It's hard to tell, but it's a little bigger. You can pull more water in here, so you have a bigger impact on 30 days of pumping. But yeah.
So I thought there needed to be a fix down by HH. I thought you had said there was something.
I would say that there does, but because we're just doing this for well 12, I think that fix may come with language changes. And that fix is really this here. When this got adopted, this was not in the city of Stevens. I'm sorry, this was. It's off the map. This stuff down here
It's off the map.
wasn't in the city. So we're not proposing changes there now, especially because we don't really want to complicate what's going on there right now. We make an ordinance change in the middle of a request or something. I think that it run a little bit afoul of how we're supposed to handle things. Also, no matter what change we make down there, it would go from potentially zone C to zone B, and the way we would handle any request is the exact same right there. So the change happening now could look bad, and we don't know sense of impropriety there, right? Like it needs to be all like, here's your zoning and everything else. The reality is the zone B and zone C rules we'd put into effect there are the same. So there's no adverse impact on groundwater because we'd handle it the same even after the change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard a lot of controversy. That's just.
There's been a bit, yeah. Yeah. So that's before you.
Okay, so we need a motion on the proposed updates, which, how do you want that phrased?
Maybe here. Just accept the map changes to modify the wellhead protection overlay zoning district as presented, something like that.
Okay. Do we have,
I will make that.
okay, thank you, Ray. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Okay, sewage treatment operations.
Yeah, so Chris isn't here either today, but he did write a memo, and included his usual report. So basically, as usually stated, we met all the required limits this month. I will say this needs to be modified. We had another, what we believe to be fire during startup. Yeah, this was Thursday night, I think. Yeah. Kind of middle of the night type thing, or late evening into middle of the night. This time, fire department wasn't called. The systems that are on board on the dryer detected light inside the dryer, which means there's fire because it's a sealed unit. The two canisters that are basically like fire extinguishers, but very expensive, purged and contained the fire, and everything alarmed, and then we had folks until 4 a.m. or something like that. So it's offline. We're in the process of emptying it out again, and having the equipment manufacturer get even more involved to be like, what's going on here? Because, we need to be able to start this thing up to get rid of our solids. So unfortunately, it's not back online, and that's the biggest update we have there.
So do we have a buildup of, biosolids that?
So the good news is that the biosolids processing building, where we go from liquid sludge, first step is to a cake product.
Right.
Final step is the dried product. The good news is there's a break between cake and dried. So we can keep running our cake machine, the belt. It's a gravity belt and then a pressure zone belt.
Okay.
We can keep running that. It just doesn't feed the dryer. We dump it into a truck.
Gotcha.
So we take it from probably 2 or 3% solids, very liquidy, up to probably between 16 and 18% solids. So very, very cakey. Take a lot of water out, and then we end up landfilling it because we don't have any Class B sites approved, because we got rid of our Class B process from land apply. So when we're in these dryers down operating modes, we're either bulking up in our sludge tank, or we're making cake and landfilling. And ultimately, that's our ability, is we can fill sludge storage to a point to avoid landfill, but when we get to a certain point, it's like we need to have some capacity in there, because who knows, what if your belt goes down?
Sure.
So right now, I know we took a truck there this morning, and we'll probably start on the daily hauling again now. And when we're doing a truck a day, we're taking out just a little bit more than staying even. So we're taking a little bite out of it every day.
Where do we take it?
Marathon.
Okay.
Marathon.
Correct.
Yeah.
And there's still no idea why it's.
No, and I don't even have a guess this time. The
Yeah.
last time, as the guys were looking at it and investigating it, there was a concept that part of the discharge conveyor, which is at the end of the process, it's this kind of screw conveyor that discharges the final product, had solids left in it that didn't get emptied out between runs, and those solids ended up combusting. And so we're like, okay, we got to get everything, every little nook and cranny clean. Did that, started up another fire. So something else is going on that is, as of yet, unknown. So
is there any recourse to the?
we're past things like warranty and things like, we've run long enough now on that. But I think the biggest recourse is holding the manufacturer to task to problem solve it, because there aren't a lot of these pieces of equipment in municipal operations, and I think that's a big goal for them. So they don't want to have the one or two that are in the state running this way not working. Oddly enough, we just committed to a big research project that's going to walk through our drying process. So the end of that saying this doesn't work wouldn't be good, right? So
Sure.
yeah.
No.
So hopefully we find an absolute, this is the cause, and we can resolve it, and then start running again. But we don't know what that is just yet.
Okay, alrighty.
Further on in his part of the agenda, all of our final effluent discharge data is there as usual. If you guys want to talk about that, I can do my very best to pretend I know what it means. I'm just kidding. I could probably get through it pretty well. Final discharge data here, our BOD stuff. I think he mentioned some changes last month to the way our phosphorus looks and stuff like that. Everything's looking pretty good. We do have a current, probably prior to this coming out. Yeah, it'd be into October here. Our phosphorus, we lost our BioP, so we're not removing phosphorus biologically very well at the moment, but the guys are looking through all the biology there and trying to figure out why that is. And we run a razor's edge all the time, to keep a biological process, but keep everything going. It's really hard. So it sounds like that kind of got upset last week, and they're right now scrambling to figure out how to get it back.
Mhm.
And we do have recourse, we can add chemical, knock it down, which probably already are, just to make sure we stay within permit, but they're doing everything they can to get it back biologically. And this is our new effluent, ammonia, 2-year history. You know, our limit's here now, we didn't used to have it, so these don't need to be too alarming. It came in somewhere here. Yeah, and then just the monthly average stuff, so that's all I've got on that. Oh, this is the next item, sorry, I won't jump ahead.
Okay, approval for emergency repair of aeration basin compressor.
Yeah, so, one of the more costly parts of what we do in a wastewater treatment plant is aerating wastewater as it goes through the aptly named aeration blowers, aeration basins. Many years ago, and this one was installed in 2014, we switched from these positive displacement compressors, these really high energy blub, 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 blub type compressors, to these high speed scroll compressors. And they're very efficient, they've worked very well, but one of them died. And so because of the importance to the operation, we already ordered the parts. They total about 35 grand. But this kind of is under emergency repair type territory.
Yep.
So this is hoping you'll approve that after the fact because we desperately need it.
Begging for gift.
Yeah.
Is that what? Okay, so you need a motion to approve the
Please.
purchase,
Yep.
the parts and installation?
What happens if we don't?
Good question. Let's not walk down that road.
We don't. We are responsible.
Oh, yeah, for
for
the
not
35,000.
minutes.
There is language in procurement, kind of, I hesitate to call it policy, but it's been discussed and approved, that when we get into emergency type situations that obviously need to be done. And what it really amounts to is there any reason this would ever be denied, right?
Mhm.
Like, you guys aren't gonna make us mothball a piece of critical equipment.
No.
And so we do it so that we can get it back online and then
Right.
report back saying, here's what we did, please approve.
All right, I'll move approval.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Besides the high price on that, how many horsepower? Something like that. Is that the way these are, motors are?
Yeah, so the other nice thing about those is that they have a very large turndown rate. And I thought they were around 70, but Chris corrected me, and I think they run around, their max horsepower is like 120-ish. And I think where I got the 70 is that we turn them down far enough that we're probably using about 70 horse. So they have like a 60% turn down or something, which is pretty good. A lot of motors you can't turn down that far. So we can go from full power, turn it down almost to half, which is really important because we'll seek out a dissolved oxygen level. And if you can't turn your air down to get to where you need to be, then you're just over aerating. And not that there's a real problem with that biologically, but there's a real problem with that from an energy perspective. So if we can turn it way down to just barely meet those dissolved oxygen levels, then we're saving energy, saving money, and everything else. So if the second one, so the building is right over the aeration basins there, and it used to have 4 big positive displacement monsters. They're 150 horse crossline start. I mean, you're going full bore all the time. We put in our first one and then put in a second one probably 3 years later, something like that. And it's all we've used since. In fact, I think I've heard the old ones run like 1 time. And so it's been a long time. But the problem is, if the one we are running on now, the second one, because we really only need 1, goes down, well, then we're running that big one.
Right.
And those haven't been run in years. It's not like they won't run, but I'm not super confident that we want to really tempt fate here, you know? So we really got to get it back online so we're redundant. And everything, there's so many things about wastewater treatment plant that are just, the whole philosophy is based on redundancy, right? You need to be able to operate with a piece of equipment down. How are you going to do that? Right now, we've got one down, so we got to fix it.
But you still have yet another level.
We have the old ones that we could turn on and, yeah, it'd be like, yeah, you'd think there's something else going on over there. It's so loud in comparison and stuff. But, and then they'd also consume twice the power in our most
Yeah.
power intensive part of the operation. So we don't want to do that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, construction and maintenance report. Shane?
I have to hand this one off. Shane's here.
Yeah, I'm here. I really don't have anything to add to the report itself. I think the only thing that I'll make mention of is in regards to all of the streets, public works, the joint, construction projects going on. They're really getting to be that time of year where they're coming to an end. Basically, all of the utility work on all of those projects is done, so they're working on paving and restoration and curb and all that kind of stuff right now. Small punch list items will remain on those for, but it's really minor, so,
Curious on their future projects, what
Mhm.
swale on Heffron Street is that on the east side of McGill or the west side?
It would be on the west side. So we were planning on, looking at swaling Woodland Street next year. But, we decided that in efforts to, do the best that we can, that area needs a little bit more possibly engineering to accomplish what we want to. So we're going to shift our efforts to the next spots, which would be looking at Heffron Street, basically from Channel Drive to Minnesota, and then another phase from Minnesota to Michigan.
Yeah, so we just did all this, right? Oops, let me get rid of this. Kind of in the way. Just did all this and this. So we're looking here to the west, really, right? To some point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
One of our bigger. There's a lot more room there than in a lot of parts. Like, you know, these areas of the right of way present more lineal opportunity to swale and actually accomplish something. When you get into, yeah, and you can even look, we've done projects up in these areas, but these smaller areas between driveways present less effectiveness, and it's just, you know, we know that this will be effective. So while we design some stuff on the other side of town, we're going to try to take care of this.
And that is an area too where during large events and in the spring, you know, freeze thaw scenarios, the dry basins need a little bit of help to you know, keep the water and flooding off the road there.
And that's what they are. They're dry basins. They're not even
Right.
Correct, yeah.
French drain or whatever the
Well, they're
vernacular is.
they essentially are, right? Because a lot of these, I might not have the right layers on here. Do we have these connected, Shane? We do, right?
They are, yeah.
There
they started popping up there.
Yeah. So what happens is we'll have a structure to collect the water, and then in between them, they're perforated pipes. So it's what a lot of people would kind of call a French drain or something like that. These are not permitted.
I know.
Yeah. So our goal and the way that our stormwater is modeled throughout the city is that these areas that work this way just aren't modeled. This is how we kind of came up with how to approach this with the DNR back in 2018. They don't count as benefit, but they don't count as a loading either, right? So they just excluded these areas from our model. So as we're able, and I'll show you how we, this is how we map the areas that we do get in and put swales in. We actually note them as infrastructure and as assets, so we know where we've reinstituted them. And then when we remodel these areas, these are considered 100% treated because it's a vegetated swale and they're internally drained. They don't have a discharge to a water body. And so our permit looks a lot better then.
Gotcha.
So in the areas where we have these magic catch basins, as they've been come to be called, it's good to focus projects in those areas because the impact is meaningful from a stormwater management and waste load reduction perspective. So we can model it to say this is working as it should.
So when the project is done, they'll be in yellow then? Or
Yeah.
they'll
Yep.
not
Yep.
counted where they weren't.
Yep, we haven't drafted this yet.
I see.
Yep, and then we'll do this afterwards. And yeah, we've got other areas.
Sure.
Not sure, like all up in here should be all done. Yep.
Hmm.
But yeah,
So we've got manholes in all of those locations?
all those are those kind of manholes. So what we do when we come in here is we make these an overflow. So they will no longer be the low point.
Gotcha.
So you have to surcharge the swale
Okay.
and have standing water before it'll go in those, which also means it's cleaner water going in those because there's freeboard there.
Yeah.
So all the gook and contaminants and everything else, suspended solids stay here and are therefore treated out. Whereas before, when these were the low point, everything would spill into these and kind of get injected in, which isn't good.
Right. Yeah.
So we're making everything better when we do this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else? How about the director's report? Anything, Joel?
Yeah, I went and grabbed my note because I remember I had one more thing and I couldn't remember what it is. Speaking of, and it's kind of why I leaned into this a little bit, we had a DNR audit last week for stormwater. First one ever, in my recollection. In fact, I never heard of one prior to that, and it kind of sounds like that's probably because it never happened in Stevens Point. The audit went very well. We reviewed a lot of things. It was all day long. And at the end of the day, I think we'll get a couple of notes to say, let's do this different, let's do this different. There's some code changes coming up. Let's account for it in this way, stuff like that. But I'd say it was a very positive day, really, overall. So just wanted to report that. I don't have anything in writing yet, but just wanted to let you guys know. That's all I've got.
Great.
I have a question
Good job.
I think it's stormwater related more than anything. I've seen, street sweepers going wild the last couple of months. What's going on?
Well, I mean, they do focus spring and fall. So spring to get all the sand and salt and all the winter debris off the roads, because that being picked up and not making it to our storm sewers is a really good thing. In the fall, all the leaves that are in the road are another, I guess, pollutant loading type thing. If you don't do sweeping, you model it differently. So we do put into our water model how many times the city swept in a year, and there's some loose assumptions that are made there. So if you say it's everywhere twice and downtown 5 times, which is pretty accurate, I think it's more like everywhere 3 or 4 times and downtown 5 to 8 times. But we can accurately say that it gets done at least this much. That means we take this much material out of the right of way, and we estimate that too based on a lot of different things. But I get a number from streets on how much tonnage they've removed. And we put that into our annual report, actually. And then years later, we haven't done a model since 2018, but we're about due for one. In fact, there's some grant opportunities coming up that might let us renew that whole thing for not only modeling, but the first step of that would actually be not modeling the pollutant side of it, but modeling the capacity side of our system. So there's a couple steps here that might lead us to having a lot of new data in the next few years, which would be really good. But yeah, part of the utilities support of Public Works, you may recall every year there's a $70,000 contribution to Public Works. That is for street sweeping, because we're probably, from a permit perspective, we benefit from it. You know, the city provides that service because they provide that service, but they don't have a permit that changes whether or not they do it 3 times or 8 times. It does benefit us. So the 70,000 was originally designed to be a capital contribution to buying sweepers, but right now it's just an operational subsidy, essentially.
So we pay to have street trees.
So that's another one. I think
We have to
pick up the leaves. Yeah.
leave.
If only they could plant some trees that didn't drop their leaves, right? Yeah. Yeah, so I think we're up to 30,000 a year on the park side. We adjusted that, right? So we're 30,000 on parks, 70,000 on streets.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny because the trees, other than them dropping leaves, do have a stormwater benefit as well.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, then fall comes around, right? Yeah. Nothing else for me.
Okay, I guess then we would look for an adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
A video of this meeting is available for viewing on the city's website, stevenspoint.com/videos.